How did I land on the front page of Reddit? It's a good question. Stick around. I'll tell you all about it. Welcome to the Gary Cantrell podcast. I don't know, some of you guys said you still like the intro, a proper setup, so I think we're going to go ahead and stick with it. So, how did I land on the front page of Reddit? That is the topic for today's podcast. This is not an easy feat, but it's not as kind of cut and dry as you think. It's kind of random what gets on the front page of Reddit. This is what I've learned, but I'll tell you my story. So Friday, I decided to post a before and after photo. Now, they have different subreddits. Now, if you've never, been on Reddit, if you're not familiar with Reddit, let me tell you what Reddit's all about. So it's this page, and this is what I gather, because I'm no Reddit expert, by the way. Let me just clarify that first and foremost. I do not know everything there is to know about Reddit. I know a very limited bit of it. Some of you guys know, I'm a pro wrestling fan, and there's an active community on Reddit known as Squared Circle. And that was kind of my introduction to Reddit. And to me, the best I can summarize Reddit to somebody that's never, ever seen it before, think like a forum, a message board, if you will, where people can vote if they like that thread, that subject matter. And if enough people do what's called upvoting, it gets pushed up to the top of the ranking. And you can sort, if you're on a Reddit like Squared Circle, or like some of the ones I like to visit, Apple, iPhone, Apple TV when I'm looking for some cool apps, Sprint when they're messing up on their, service, and I want to go see what employees are saying about it, because a lot of people are on Reddit. Believe it or not, you never know how many people are going to be on Reddit. But basically, it's like a message board or a forum, and people do what's called upvoting. So they give it an arrow up or an arrow down based on if they like the content. And, the one that gets the most votes simply wins. Well, you don't really win, but you're at the top of the page. So with that in mind, you also have obviously comments, and within the comments, you can also upvote those and make those higher or lower depending on, if somebody's being like a troll, which is extremely common in Reddit, and we'll talk about that here on the podcast in a little bit. But, if somebody's being a troll, a lot of times if people recognize it, they'll call them out and downvote them into oblivion, as they call it, and you'll never see that comment. If you came into a thread 6 hours in and enough people saw some troll comment and they downvoted it, you're never going to see it. It's going to be buried at the bottom of the page. So with this in mind, there's a couple of weight loss ones that are out there. There's a progress pics, and I think there's one called Lose It or something like that. And there's also just a general subreddit called Pics, Pics. And this is where I made my post. Now, I have done this once before. I did not land on the front page, however. And again, I'm not trying to necessarily go viral with it. It's more or less when I do this stuff, because I was called out on it, and there are people on Reddit, there's some of the smart, there's a lot of trolls on Reddit, but there's a lot of smart people, and they can kind of sift through the BS of, if somebody's real or not. Me, anytime I do something, I want to create visibility for what I'm doing. Obviously, I've said this a million times. I'll say it again because it's extremely relevant. If somebody tells you they're not doing this for the visibility, they're not doing it for, to be seen, they're lying. They're full of it. Yes, the big part of what I do is because I want to help people. But I'm never going to lie to you and tell you, of course, I don't want, visibility for it. It's not, hey, look at me, look at me. It's more of, hey, I'm on this incredible journey. I want as many eyes on it as possible because there's a lot of skeptical people. I used to be one of these people. And, there's this thought, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, when actually you can do it. So, of course, I want the most eyes on this story as possible. End of story. Anybody tells you, oh, I'm just trying to help, I don't want a million people looking at me, they're full of it. I mean, I'm just telling you right now. Everybody does it. If you weren't in it for if part of it wasn't for some of the views, you wouldn't be going public with it. Honestly, I truly believe that. And that may not be a popular thing, but that's just how I feel about it. And it's okay. It's okay to want people to. It's okay to want to get eyes on what you're doing, especially if you're doing something great. Look, there's a lot of people out there that have huge audiences on Instagram and whatnot that are helping people, and I think that's awesome. There's also a lot of people with big audiences who are just selling you to death, or as Gary Vee would say, right hooks, throwing right hooks left and right. But, the end goal is, number one, to help people, but also to get visibility so that you can help people. Because without the visibility, nobody knows what you're doing, and if nobody knows what you're doing and you try to go help people, they don't think you have credibility. End of story. So, Reddit. On Friday, I went onto this subreddit called Pics, and I had a before and after. Excuse me. And, damn, okay, there we go. And so, and it's all strategic as well, folks. Like, you got to understand, like, there is a chance that when you go on Reddit, it will get picked up. Now, this is not always going to be the case. And again, I've done this before. I posted a before and after on the Pics subreddit, and I think it got around 6,000 upvotes, which at the time blew my absolute freaking mind, okay? And, hundreds upon hundreds of comments. This blew my mind. But when you do this, you have to kind of keep things in mind. Like, I remember the first time I did it, I was wearing a Progress wrestling shirt, and people in the comments were popping huge because they saw the Progress shirt. One of the owners of Progress, Jim Smallman, somebody brought it to his attention, and next thing I know, I'm tweeting with Jim, and he's like, dude, you're amazing, So it's like, you never know who's watching what you're doing. But if you're going to do this, if you're going to post something like this to Reddit on the chance that you could be noticed, you want to make it the most strategic possible. So what I did was I took a photo, my before photo, which was me at my absolute largest. And some of you guys have followed me on Instagram. You've seen this photo. It's me in the suit, the black suit, and my face just is gigantic, okay? There's no easy way to say it. My face is just gigantic. But the after picture, and this is where it really gets strategic, because you guys know that I run a clothing line. Hard work always wins. It's my brand. So naturally, the after photo should be me in one of my shirts because it speaks volumes. The imagery speaks for itself. I don't even have to say anything. It just speaks for itself. The before photo, here I am, I'm really huge, I'm out of shape, I'm unhealthy, and then here I am, side by side, down 98 pounds, 97 pounds at the point I took that photo, I'm now down 98, but the shirt says hard work always wins, and believe me, that's deliberate. It absolutely... if you want to create a piece of content to go viral, you have to be very careful in how you do it. And I think that this was the best way to go. And obviously, it's my brand. I want to obviously try and see if I can sell a couple of shirts in the process, which, yes, that happened. And I do that. I mean, because a lot of you guys know me on Instagram, I don't sell really hardly at all. I mean, yes, I post pictures in my stuff, but I don't throw links left and right. all day long because I don't want to use Instagram for that purpose. I would rather pose for pictures in the clothing and then have people ask me, hey, where did you get that? I think that's just a better way of going about it. You know, I've been outspoken before, but I mean, if you guys are new to this podcast, you'll learn that people that are out there selling Herbalife and It Works and all these diet pills and wraps and all this other crap, like, I'm not about that life. And so I'm not going to be right hooking you to death with buy my shit. You know, it's just not going to happen. But I will wear my stuff in every photo. And then, you know, what happens often and not, like when I post like a Transformation Tuesday photo or a Face-to-Face Friday photo, and my after picture, or my current picture rather, I actually shouldn't say after because I'm still in the midst of my journey. But when I post my current picture, it's in one of my shirts. And again, it goes back to that kind of viral piece of content where it really speaks volumes. Here's the guy before, here he is after. He's wearing the shirt that says hard work always wins. That must be how he got there. Bingo. Done. So I took one of these photos and I posted it to the subreddit of pics on Reddit. And I said something to the effect of down 97 pounds in 13 months, and here's the result. So a little teaser in the subject line. Here's what it is. I found if you get really clever with the subject title, that always draws a lot of people in, because everybody's using different clients on Reddit. Like, you know, if you use like Reddit, the website, I don't know if there's a thumbnail on the side or not, but like I know on my phone there's a thumbnail of whatever photo, like if you're sharing a photo. But if you can kind of tease with the title and say, here's the, you know, I did such and such and here's what happened, or here's what I found, and then boom, you post it. And, you know, within the first hour or two of me posting this, I noticed that, you know, it's got, you know, 200 or 300 upvotes and, you know, maybe 20, 30 comments. And I'm like, cool, this is really cool. You know, and generally what you'll find is that most people, when you post a photo like this, most people are going to be really cool. They're going to say, wow, man, you know, awesome work. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. You know, these are the common kind of comments that you'll see. And I appreciate every one of them. And at this point, you know, you try to reply to everybody, but sometimes it's just not always possible. And now I kind of understand what some of these like celebrities go through, or big time influencers on Instagram that I like to follow, is that when you comment, sometimes they can't always get back because, you know, there's thousands of comments, and, you know, it would spend an hour just trying to reply to everybody. So, you know, I had a little trouble keeping up with the comments. I'm still trying to get back to people. But I have gone back and replied to everybody that DM'd me on Reddit about it, you know, that had questions or, you know, whatever. So, you know, within a couple of hours, now we're starting to get into the, you know, it's upvoted over 1,000 times, and it's creeping up the main page of pics, the pics subreddit. You know, it was at like 20, then it went up to 11, then it went up to 6. I think then it went up to like 3 or 4. And next thing I know, I get a message from somebody, a buddy of mine's like, hey, dude, I saw you on the front page of Reddit. And I'm like, what? And so I go to www.reddit.com, the home page of Reddit, and lo and behold, I'm number 6 on the front page of Reddit. Can you believe that? That blew my mind. I was so shocked. And I'm looking at this thing, and now it's got like, you know, 20 to 30,000 upvotes. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing has got legs. It's got a life of its own. And as I refresh every so often, now it's got, you know, 40,000 upvotes. Now I'm up at like 5, then 4, then 3. I never got higher than 3. And this is kind of the nature of Reddit, because it's such an active community that eventually you will get knocked down. And then, you know, I get knocked down. I'm, back down to 5, 6, 8, 12, 16. That's the last time I checked, and then I think I disappeared off the front page. But I made it up to freaking post number 3, right under, I think it was the announcement of Westworld Season 2 trailer to air during the Super Bowl. I think that was like right above my post. So I'm in some good company. I'll have to go back. I have the screenshots of it. I'll have to go back and post the screenshot. But I made it to freaking number 3 on the front page of Reddit. Everybody goes on Reddit, folks. By the time this thing was all said and done, and I mean, there's still people that are upvoting it now, but this is like buried on pages of pages. But, by the last time I checked, when it was really gaining some steam and whatnot, I mean, this thing had over 60,000 upvotes and had been viewed over 500,000 times. Let that sink in for a moment. My post was viewed over 500,000 times. Over 60,000 people engaged with it. Over 2,000 comments. This is incredible reach. Absolutely incredible reach. So it's very possible to create a piece of content and have it go viral. Now, there are downsides to this, and we should talk about this. I'll talk about the upsides too, but we should address the downsides first, because I don't want anybody just to listen to this podcast and think, oh crap, I should go to their subreddit of pics and post it before and after, without realizing that there are consequences. And that is that there are a lot of smart ass people on Reddit, okay? So if you don't have thick skin, you're going to get very upset with Reddit really quickly. I mean, I had people that said, yeah, you lost all this weight, but you're still fat, F you, fat ass. God, you look terrible. There's going to be people, or there's people that say, oh, there's a subreddit for this. You should be posting this in progress pics, not regular pics. God, we see so much of this crap on pics and blah, 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 blah. So you're going to deal with people that are going to try to insult you. They're going to try to bring you down. And you just can't, like me, I've been on Reddit long enough. Now, the old me would have been anxiety-ridden, would have just been absolutely downright upset by all of this. But the new me, I kind of just really laugh at this stuff because I know what Reddit's all about. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've read something on Reddit and just the smart-ass nature of people and the types of comments they leave, it's like a different type of snarkiness, and it's just like sometimes if it's done right, it can be really funny. Like you'll read something and it'll just make you just gut-bustingly laugh so hard. So for me, that's kind of how I approach Reddit. I'm like, people on Reddit are absolutely insane a lot of times. So I read comments like that and I just laugh. Like, in my first time when I posted on Reddit a progress photo, everybody called me the guy from Smash Mouth, which I've heard for years, by the way. And then, like, the comments were, like, the songs, were, like, the lyrics to the song All-Star. Like, one guy would write, somebody once told me. Then the next guy would be, like, the world is gonna, like, right underneath. And people were just, like, singing the song through comments. And that kind of stuff, you just laugh at. I mean, it's hilarious. This time around, what I was surprised by is that everybody thought I looked like Richard Karn, who played the character Al Borland on Home Improvement. I got a huge laugh out of this. I mean, I thought it was just tremendous. So a lot of, you'll find 50 comments of people joking about Home Improvement, like inside Home Improvement jokes and references, which are just funny. Other people said they thought I looked like some guy from Heroes. I've never watched Heroes, but they said I look like some guy from Heroes. I don't remember the name off the top of my head because obviously I don't watch. Other people thought I looked like some guy called Adam the Woo or something. That was another guy. Some people thought I looked like Action Bronson, and that is definitely not the first time I've gotten that reference. And I should say this, like, I've been getting the Action Bronson thing for a couple of years now. People will stop me on the streets, especially when I had the big beard. And now I think I'm just going to grow it back because I kind of like being noticed, even though I'm not the guy they're looking for, but it's kind of funny. I almost should start a web series, like an Instagram or some kind of web series, like of people stopping me on the streets. Hey man, are you Action Bronson? It happens way more than you realize. I've tried tweeting at him before, but I don't have many followers. So like, you know, and this guy, he probably is just, you know, he's probably just inundated with freaking, you know, people tweeting him. So I don't really worry about it. But if anybody listening like knows Action Bronson and can get a hold of him, let him know that while I'm not familiar with all of his stuff, people seem to think I'm him for some reason. I've gotten stopped, actually. A quick sidebar. I've gotten stopped so many freaking times because people thought I was Action Bronson. I had a guy at the lid store at the mall. He said, "Oh my God, dude. Oh my God." And I'm like, What's up, man? He's like, "You're Action Bronson." And I'm like, "Who's Action Bronson?" He's like, "Come on, man. That's you, right?" I'm like, "Who's Action Bronson?" Like, I didn't know who he was. I honestly didn't know. I mean, I guess I need to, you know, do some more research on the guy. I mean, I've looked him up. He does a show on Vice, and I think he's a rapper or something. But the guy in the mall was like so convinced. He's like, "Dude, can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, "Sure. I'm not this guy you're looking for." And maybe he thought that I was just playing kind of like coy about it, and maybe he took that picture and like posted it to Instagram or Snapchat. I was like, "Dude, I met Action Bronson today," and God, the poor bastard. He's just gonna, his friends will be like, "Yeah, it's not Action Bronson." And then there was a guy. I was in DC at a restaurant, and some guy said, "Dude, anybody ever tell you look like Action Bronson?" And this after I've already been asked like 100 times. And I'm like, yeah, I hear that a lot. He's like, "Man, you guys should totally like take a picture together." I'm like, maybe one day we will. I don't know. It's hard, like when you don't know the guy, like when you don't know what they're all about, to try to like, you know, say anything because you just don't know like what their deal is. So, Richard Karn, Al Borland, Adam the Woo, Action Bronson, guy from Smash Mouth. I got a few people that said it looked like Kevin Owens from WWE. The guy from Heroes. So that was one of the common themes of the thread was, "Oh, you look like this guy." Some people said, you know, "Wow, you went from a white guy to an Asian guy," and I think that's just like the tan or, you know, the lighting, or maybe the fact that there's life in my face. Because when I was bigger, I think the life was like suffocated out of my face. But this is the kind of stuff you'll deal with. You know, you're going to deal with people that are going to, you know, just flat out try to insult you, bring you down, or they'll be really funny, or you'll get what I found the majority of was people saying, "Holy crap, great work, keep up the good job," or people asking for help. And this is huge. You know, people asking how do you do this? And that kind of stuff gets repetitive. So what I did was I created a comment where I outlined, you know, 5 or 6 of the top questions answered. And I talked about kind of what I've done, and every time somebody commented, I would reply to their comment with a link to my comment where I answered their question, so I could avoid having to answer each question. But at the same time, you're linking them to your comment, so it's like you're still replying to them. They're still hearing from you. It's still some level of personability. Because look, I try to keep it personal as possible, as I can. You guys know me on Instagram. I try to reply to each and every person. There are some days where I get a lot of notifications and I'll miss stuff, and I feel really bad about it because generally I'm up on, you know, getting back on comments and things like that. But there are just times where, for whatever reason, I missed it. It got buried in notifications, and I do try to go back and get back to everybody as soon as I can. And often enough, if I haven't answered your question on a given time, just DM me. That also helps as well. So what did we learn here? Over 500,000 viewed my Reddit post. 60-something thousand upvoted it. 2,000-something commented on it. This blows my mind. Reddit can be a powerful tool. You know, I told people, like, why spend money buying AdWords or buying Google or Facebook ads or Instagram ads? Why do that when you can have a post on Reddit that goes viral? And you're having what you're selling or the message you're trying to get out. You know, and people are asking me, like, look, you know, tell me about your journey. I'm like, go to my Instagram. Boom. Go to my Instagram. Go to my Instagram. Go to my Instagram. Hey, where'd you get that shirt? Hardworkalwayswins.com. And you're just blowing people up with this left and right because they're asking you. It's not like I made a thread and I said, hi, my name is such and such. I'm tracking all my weight loss journey on this page, and you can buy my shit here. Now, look, could I have gotten a ton of more followers and a bunch of more sales if I had put it on the very top comment outlining all this stuff? Of course. But then that kind of goes in that moral thing of, you know, I'm here to be seen. Don't get it twisted, but I'm not here to spam. I'm here to share my story. And if you find some stuff about that that's interesting and you want to ask me, how did you get that shirt or whatever, then I'm happy to tell you. And that's what I learned. And so you can create a piece of content and it won't always go viral, but I guarantee, you know, Reddit is an undervalued community. There are a lot of people on there and you can get seen in front of a lot of people. And there's a lot of noise too, just like there is anywhere. I would say it's the lesser of a couple of evils, you know, as I think Facebook is the most noisiest page. Instagram is very noisy, but you can kind of sift through that. But Reddit, it's noisy, but it's super valuable. A lot of people on there. So, and then also to wrap it up with the Reddit thing, one of my childhood friends was in the comments. He's like, dude, you've come a long way. My old buddy Kevin John, we used to live in the same neighborhood. He used to come over to my house, as he outlined in the comment, and play Sonic 2 in my basement and eat Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza and drink Pepsi. And these are great memories. And to see him pop up in the comments, I popped big for that. And, you know, other people that were friends of people I know were telling people, hey, isn't that such and such? And, you know, I was getting text messages all day long and DMs. Hey, I seen you on the front page. And it just really was crazy to me. The whole situation was crazy. Would I do it again? Absolutely. But you can't see, this is the thing too. Like, I feel like people might listen to this podcast and think, gee, I should create a piece of content every week and I'll just go viral. Wrong guess. You know, for me, the last time I did it was 6 months ago. And I think that that's a perfect time because people's attention spans a lot of times here today, gone tomorrow. And, you know, it's not like, and the people of Reddit are smart too. So, you know, if I had done, you know, the one I did in August and then did one in September, like, hey, weren't you just here in August, you know, and you posted this, you know, you're trying to get karma points. Like, there's this thing called karma points, and there's a whole Reddit of people that say, oh, hey, this guy's just fishing for points. And let me just make this very perfectly freaking clear. I don't really have a great understanding of what karma points are or what they do, and I really don't care. So I'm definitely not in this for the karma. Am I in it for visibility? Yes. Am I in it to help people? Yes. I'm not in it for imaginary points on a website. So there you go. That's how I got on the front page of Reddit. Blew my mind. I did gain some followers on Instagram. I did get some more, downloads on the podcast. Thank you so much. And I did sell some merch, which I greatly, greatly appreciate. Everybody that takes time to support me in that realm. And I don't really plug it a lot here, or, I don't plug it a lot on Instagram. But if you're ever interested in supporting me by wearing some of my gear, you've seen the pictures, maybe you like it, hardworkalwayswins.com. That's the way to find it. Speaking of which, one more note on that. I'm coming to Amazon. I'm actually live on Amazon already. I'm going to be adding more as we go. But, Amazon is just another way to be seen. I prefer all of my audience to go to hardworkalwayswins.com because that's where you're going to find the most merch, the most updated merch, the most variety of merch, hats, baseball tees, hoodies. Right now on my Amazon store, I have 2 shirts, and those are just the 2 most popular selling Hard Work Always Wins shirts and the 4 Pillars shirt. But I will add more eventually, and I'm adding to Amazon for 2 reasons. Number one, if you're somebody that does all your shopping on Amazon, maybe you have an Amazon credit card and you get points that way, this is for you because you can order it with Prime shipping. They print them and they'll ship them to you with Prime shipping. So that's one reason for people that are like diehard Amazon. They only shop on Amazon because it's just so easy. And there are people that do that. Believe me, there are people that do that. And so I want to cater to those people. But it's also just it's another way to be discovered because with the right keywords embedded in the page of the piece of merchandise that I'm selling, there's a lot of people that can organically find it, without knowing who I am or what I do. And so that's huge. So it just opens up a new audience. I think it's better to be in more places than be in just 1 or 2 places, but just know that all the newest, latest, and greatest merch will be uploaded to hardworkalwayswins.com first and foremost. And I'm actually kind of flattered. There was actually somebody that was selling a bootleg Hard Work Always Wins t-shirt on Amazon, but of course I own the trademark, so I just emailed Amazon. They're like, yep, we'll get that taken down for you, buddy. So I was kind of flattered. I was like, somebody took the time to create a bootleg Hard Work Always Wins shirt, and it looked terrible too. Like it was all crooked and off, center. And I actually got more of a chuckle out of it than anything. But just beware of the fakes. Like follow my Instagram at Gary Cantrell, and I'm going to tell you what's real on Amazon and what's fake. Or I'll tell you what's real, basically. And if I don't tell you about it, then it's not mine. But just be on the lookout for that stuff, the fake stuff. But the keywords in the stuff that you sell is huge because people find it organically. Like when I first switched to my new fulfillment partner, Printful, I was originally going to go on Etsy, but I realized how much fees they charged, and I just didn't like it. But I left the store up because I'm like, there are going to be people that are going to stumble across my page organically, and they're going to potentially buy merch. And that's exactly what's happened. People have found it organically, and they're buying stuff. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you bought my stuff on Etsy or you bought my stuff anywhere, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. But then my friend Nikki on Instagram told me that you should check out Store Envy because there's no fees. I think they only have fees if you sell stuff in their marketplace, and then they take a percentage of that. So I just limit the amount of products I put in their market space. I'm like, okay, they'll find one of my shirts on Marketplace, and then they'll find the rest organically. So there you go. That's enough business talk for today. I think we got a good podcast in this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Folks, more than 60% of this audience that's listening right now is iPhone, iTunes, iPad related. If you could, please, I'm begging you, this takes like 2 minutes, maybe less. I know your time is valuable. You're already listening to this podcast, so I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you for that. But if you could please just leave me a review on iTunes, I would greatly appreciate that. That helps so much. And thank you so much to all the people that have left kind comments, reviews on iTunes already. It means the world to me just to read these glowing reviews. People that have left, 2 or 3 sentences of what this podcast means to them. And that means the world to me. So thank you so much for all of your support. Just please leave a review if you haven't already. It really helps because basically without reviews, iTunes treats you like you're just... You exist, but nobody knows you exist. And if enough people download the show, if enough people leave reviews, iTunes says, okay, this show is important. We're gonna push it up higher in the search rankings, and it helps more people discover it. So going back to that, if you're somebody that says, man, Gary offers a lot of value, I get so much from his show, you know, I hope more people can benefit from this, then by leaving a review, you're helping me get one step closer to that. So thank you in advance. And then, of course, if you want to support the show, hardworkalwayswins.com is where I'm selling some stuff. If you want to take a Lyft ride, if you Uber, Lyft, go with Lyft. Lyft is awesome. Use the code Gary's Podcast, and you can save up to $20 off your first Lyft ride. It depends by market, but I know it's the first time I've read ads in a long time, but I wanted to, throw them at the end. That way I've already given you all the content for the week, so you get to stop right here if you wanted to stop. But I've already given you the content, and now I'm just like, hey, if you want to help me, help me. The last plug, Gary'sPodcast.com/Amazon, and this is huge because if you go to Gary'sPodcast.com/Amazon, it forwards you to the Amazon homepage, but it tells Amazon that I sent you. And so by doing that, they give me a few pennies off of the stuff you buy. Now, it doesn't cost you anything extra. It comes out of Amazon's cut. So help me get a few pennies by going to Gary'sPodcast.com/Amazon to start your shopping on Amazon. So with that, folks, I'm getting out of here for the week. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys next week.